Hey everybody, Michael DeTulo back with another designer unboxing. It's been a little while since I've done an unboxing. I totally spaced over the holidays to unbox my new iPhone and a few other goodies, but I got a new pair of Cole Haans from my friends over at the brand, and I wanted to take some time to document this one because there was some really cool details. So this is a pair of the Cole Haan Grand Pro rallies that are part of the Hasan Minhaj collaboration. So those of you that know me know that I really am not a fan of celebrity collaborations generally, but this one piqued my interest for three reasons. First, Hasan Minhaj is a really interesting person. I love his views. I love his show. He always has an interesting take on things. Second, I would consider him what I would consider to be a true sneakerhead. He's really into the sneaker culture. He's into the details. He's into collecting. I think it's more than just like having a cool pair of sneakers for him. I think it's part of who he is. Um, and three, I think it just felt like a really genuine, kind of unusual collaboration. It didn't feel like your typical mainstream celebrity collabo. So I was really interested to get a pair of these and check them out. So right, first thing in the box, kind of a cool little mashup between the Cole Haan logo and Hasan Minhaj's initials, with some really nice kind of Moroccan-inspired UV print there. I don't know how that comes across on camera, but it's kind of a subtle kind of UV print, tone-on-tone thing. It's probably a clear ink. And then some gold foil about the collaboration. I won't bore you by reading that, but I'll check it out later. But let's get into the shoes themselves. So kind of a, first glance, just kind of a classically styled court shoe, but there's some really interesting deceiving things. First of all, it's a cup sole construction, which is basically like a rubber sidewall, but this feels like more like a blown rubber. It's not a traditional rubber. It might not even be rubber. It might be a rubber foam mixture. So it's the net effect of that is it's very light compared to like a skate shoe, which has a traditional rubber cup sole, or like a old school shoe like a Nike Dunk. This shoe is much lighter. The second thing that's really nice about it might be a PU actually, a poured urethane, because these sidewalls are super sharp. You can see how crisp that line is and the way it kind of kicks out in the heel. I really like that. It almost gives it a sense of being more like a vulcanized shoe, like a Chuck Taylor. It feels like almost like a hybrid between a vulcanized aesthetic and a cup sole aesthetic. They kept it really clean, very restrained. I appreciate how hard it is when you're designing tooling to just keep it so simple. And really like no branding, which I love as a designer. Really minimal branding, just a little grand debossed in the sidewall here, which refers to their what they call a grand operating system, or grand OS, which is all their kind of lightweight cushioning tech. Outsole, very clean, very simple, classic. Definitely harkens back to the Jack Purcell a little bit. I probably would have liked this traction to be a little bit deeper. If this is a PU midsole or a blown rubber, this is gonna wear down pretty quick. There's not a lot of traction, but not a huge deal. Nice little just simple form shift here. Again, branding is minimal, not even a color pop, just one material, so not even an opportunity to do a color pop here. Yeah, I probably would have done something a little bit more, 10% more aggressive on this traction, even if it was just scaled up 10%. One thing that's really cool about it, though, is it's actually slightly angled. I'm going to get this a little bit closer here. So the tips of these are actually a little bit raised. It's not just straight kind of lines. They're actually angled down. So as I run my finger across it, you can actually really feel the traction in this direction versus this direction, which is going to make it very nice and grippy, at least until those nubs wear down. Just finishing up on the tooling, again, very clean on the sidewall, just a very simple jog here and here. One thing I thought was really nice was just this subtle nod to traditional cup soles with this stitch here. Old school cup soles, the adhesives weren't as good. They would have to be stitched with this kind of top line stitch along the upper edge of the cup sole. New cup soles you don't really need to do that anymore, but I love that they added the stitch as just like a little crafted detail just in the heel. Just gives you a nice little color pop. Along in the same lines, they added a nice color pop with just the single eyelet here. So this is what's called a U-bell throat opening here, and it's called the U-bell because it's shaped like a U. Very kind of traditional, and then just punched eyelets through suede. But this single eyelet just gives them a nice little color hit opportunity, and I could see Hasan Minhaj kind of geeking out over something like that. The other thing I want to point out on this upper is the leathers are insanely soft. I mean, the hand feel on these leathers is incredible. I would assume some nice hefty portion of the bomb going towards a nice leather. And then in the heel, really the biggest piece of branding with that Cole Haan, Hasan Minhaj mashup of the branding and a nice little hand stitch there. Again, just a nice crafted detail. I also really appreciate this upholstery seam. The center seam. I'm a stickler for not having center seams on shoes. I think working for Dwayne Edwards when I was in Jordan for 3 years, he was always getting us to really think through what the center seam was doing. But if you are going to do a center seam, this one is really nicely handled. You can see it's a turn seam, but then there's a deco stitch down either side, kind of like the upholstery on a car seat, which just elevates it a little bit. It tells you that they were thinking about it. It makes it a little bit more considered. Okay, let's pull out the stuffing here. So obviously we have a second lace here, little gold foil branding on the tongue, and this is it's a lined tongue, but they pushed the lining back a little bit from the edge, which is nice. Just gives you this kind of nice leather edge here, soft against your leg. And then this must be a Hasan Minhaj detail here. It says survive on the inside. Just a deboss, very nice, nicely handled. The lace tips are gold with, again, some branding. But one of the reasons I really wanted to dig into this shoe, my last few pairs of Cole Haans have also had this construction on the inside. You notice how this footbed is linerless. So traditionally there would be the upper of the shoe and the lasting board or the lasting foam, and then on top of that would go a sock liner. This shoe actually integrates all of that in one, which is great because you're going to obviously have less waste. It's a little bit harder to construct. If I can open this up a little bit more, you can see there's actually a turned seam in there. So this is where there would, if you took the sock liner out, there would traditionally be a strobel stitch here, which is a stitch that goes all the way around the lasting material, and usually a mesh or a foam. They've actually integrated all that with this just kind of footbed liner top, and then feels like there's a thin layer of EVA in there probably, and they've somehow gotten a turn seam all the way around that. Yeah, I don't think that's glued. I think that is the actual strobel, which is really cool. It's going to do a few different things. One, it's going to just improve the fit of the shoe because you're not going to have this extra piece of EVA insole that's kind of creating a gap between your foot and the lining of the shoe. It's almost like one continuous surface, which is really nice. Second, like I said, you're eliminating materials, so that's always nice. The downside of that is going to be there's no way to replace the sock liner. So if you wear through this footbed material, that's it. You can't replace it. But that hasn't really been an issue on the last few pair of Cole Haan sneakers that I've had. I'm sure they've tried it out. I'm sure they've used a much more durable material than is typically here. if you're someone like me that really pushes down on your big toe, I tend to kind of wear through that material on my sock liners pretty quickly, but hasn't been an issue on my Cole Haans in the past. And then obviously we've got some nice little branding just commemorating the Hasan Minhaj collaboration. So that is pretty much it. I want to see the other shoe has a different word on the inside. Let's check that out real quick. Really impressed with the construction on these. They feel super premium. I love shoes like this that kind of look like just a casual sneaker, kind of a staple. Oh yeah, this one says live. So we have live and survive. They feel like a casual sneaker, but there's a lot of thought put into the construction, a lot of thought put into the detailing and how everything comes together. I think the last shape on these are really nice. If you look at this compared to like an Air Force One or a Dunk, the Dunk and the Air Force One almost seem to sit on top of the tooling, whereas this kind of sits down in it. Again, just a lot of consideration there in terms of just getting those shapes really nice. And it's a little bit of a sleeker, narrower last without being overly pointy or aggressive. So that's it. Cole Haan rally sneaker. Some of my little details and point outs that I wanted to show you, and also just kind of note for myself for future projects. A very clean, classic style, but with some really interesting details going on. All right, everybody, have a great day.